Hello world. RealTimer is an automated irrigation system which is based off an Atmega 328 microcontroller from an Arduino board. For the hardware, we have an LCD screen, we have two switches, one for the program switch and the other is for the back switch. And also we have a potentiometer for the knob, which acts as a knob to switch between screens. So first you are introduced with the monitor screen, where we can see the time, we can see the temperature and the humidity. And if we were to enter the settings, we could press the program switch and then we would be welcomed by the activate screen first. So this is the first screen in our preferences list. If we switch the knob further, we can see we get to the manual screen. And if we continue switching the knob forward, we get to the schedule and the date and time. So let's explore the activate first. If we were to press the program switch and get into the activate, we would see first the preset 1, and we would see here the status if it's on or off. So what we have here is a preset of schedules, so we could later set some schedules and we could have already saved as presets so that we don't have to always write over the previous schedules. So if we press on the preset 1 or the preset 2 or the 3, whichever we press on, we get to toggle the status. So if it is off, then there's no schedule. Next we have the manual screen, and there we can use this for a feature as the on-the-fly irrigation. So you could see first the screen is a duration. We have to set how many minutes or hours we need to turn the valves on, and we have the other choice, which is to choose which valve to have this manual operation on. So we have 4 outputs, 4 solenoid valves, and we get to control them in this way. And next we have the schedule, where we can see first that we set the time when we want the irrigation to start. We can set the days and the duration, of course, and we can choose the preset. And now for the date and time, you can see that it's easily accessible. We can just change the hours and the minutes by turning the knob, and we are being able to change the hours and the minutes depending on where the selector is positioned. Also, we can set the day, the current day. Now for printing on the screen, the way I made it is I created a node, and this node would hold the title 1 and the title 2. So title 1 comes on the first row, title 2 comes on the second row. This node is based off two character arrays. So I have the title 1 and the title 2. Sorry, this was a mistake. And then we have the positions of title 1 and title 2, the X and Y for the LCD screen, the class for printing on the LCD. Now the preferences are made up as a list. First, the activate is the head, and then we have the manual, the schedule, date and time, and null. And wherever we switch the potentiometer, we will be able to switch in between these nodes of this list. So this is on the position 1, this is 2, and this is 3. Now let's look at the code. The first thing the microcontroller does is it runs this setup function. So first we're checking if the real-time clock, which is the IC which is going to store the time, we would check if this would begin or not, and then we would check if it's running or not. And then we are creating here some characters which we're going to use as selectors and right and left glyphs. And also we are allocating some memory for our list, which has the menu heads and the menu nodes. And also we are inserting each level on its own. So what does this function do here? Each of these functions is going to add all the information needed for title 1, for title 2, the X's and Y's, everything related to printing on the screen. And what we're doing here is we are inserting the date and time and the schedule levels, which are going to show the screens for these relevant options. Now further down, we're going to see some functions here. These functions are all used, this is used for the memory. So all of these here are used for memory. We are in the memory section. So we are able to initialize the environment, which means we are just reading or we are updating to the memory from the previous data we had. And we have here some printing functions to print whatever we want on the screen. And this function here is gonna fetch the next node by using a certain position. So this function is gonna get the head of the list, and it's gonna get the position, the destination position to go to and fetch this pointer from. Now let's look at the loop, at the main function. The function is divided into several if statements. Each if statement is going to point to a certain screen. So if we were to be on the monitor screen, we would see that we are inside this if statement. And if we were to be selecting the options list, we would be in this if statement. And every time we want to select a certain node or screen, after we print, we have to check if we are pressing the program switch. And if the program switch is pressed, we will check which node we are at and using this ID here that we stored in the node. And after that, we would be able to disable this preference list here. So we would exit this if condition, and we are setting it to true for the relevant ID. So depending on which position I am on the screen, I will turn it into a true so that I would access it with the if statement after that. Supposing we set a manual operation. After we did this, we have this if statement here, which would take care of checking the time and checking the duration here. If the duration surpassed the time that we just set before, we would switch off the controller. So this is a controller class. It's an object of a class where we would be enabling or disabling the output solenoid and for a certain amount of time. So this is it, and hope you enjoyed it.